Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
So I have with me Jenni Hubby today. And Jenni, I'm just really excited that you could join me.
Thank you.
And I wrote a little intro for you for people to get to know you a little bit better. So I'm going to read this. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So Jenni Hubby is a life coach, wife, mother, grandmother, and devoted follower of Jesus. She is passionate about helping people walk confidently in their God-given identity and overcome the obstacles life places in their path. In her business, J-Hub Consulting, Jenni specializes in life and recovery coaching, helping others live authentically. She is also the co-host of a podcast called Insight Maximizers, and you can find that on Spotify and Apple, where she and her co-host explore how curiosity, self-awareness, and intentional growth can help people overcome life's hurdles and gain deeper insight into their lives. Jenni and her husband Mead have also walked closely with our family during this season of disappointment that we've been navigating, and just grief following Nathan's relapse. And they've offered wisdom and just encouragement and support as we just navigate all the relational fractures that this has brought. And so we are very grateful for her voice and her perspective and the care that she brings. So welcome, Jenni. And I just want to say that whenever Jenni walks into a room, the room just lights up because that is the kind of person she is. So I am honored that she'd come and talk about such an important subject today. And we're going to be really focusing on recovery and God's heart towards addiction and recovery. So
Thank you for having me. And I think you explain me better than I explain me. So, wow. I appreciate you, Lacey and Nathan. And I'm just very thankful to be alive today because it could be different for me, which we'll get into a little bit. And honored to be part of this journey with you because I feel like in some ways we're in like where I am and where you are, there's a gap. And that gap is faith. And it's hard. It's a hard road. And I don't mean that. And what I mean by that is it's simple. It's just not easy to trust when we can't see where the road is going.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
So
And we have all of our belief systems, whether right or wrong, that are really guiding that perspective and scaring us about what the road looks like.
Yes.
Right. So that
for sure.
Faith is that journey, right? And even are we on the right road, right? Like what did I pass it?
Oops.
Right.
Like I did coming here today.
Yes.
I had to turn around a few times, recalculating. So that's kind of what life is.
Right. So speaking of which, I did have a question to ask you. So here it is. It is, let's see. What is something in your life that is seemingly normal that stresses you out?
That's a good one. Oh, boy, you just get right to the point, don't you? Okay. It's being a life coach because people will think, well, she must have her life together. And that would be, no, I don't. Okay. That would be, I'm working on it. And so, I've had people say this even like, I'll say something like this, my week. I'll comment on my week and how challenging it is in my schedule. And they'll go, but you're a life coach. You have your own business and everything should be fine for you. I mean, you should know how to manage your life. And well, if I did, then if I had that key, then I would be in Tahiti, I suppose.
So basically, the assumption is because you're a life coach, you should be able to live life perfectly.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
I think that's kind of an impossible goal.
Yeah, isn't it? I know. Right. It's like, no, I'm just walking this road like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the thing I was thinking about with this question for myself is I despise calling the pharmacies. I don't know why specifically pharmacies really stress me out. They
I can imagine.
I will do anything to not call a pharmacy. I'll be like, can you put me on like just an auto refill?
Oh my
Can I do
goodness.
like a text,
That's
like any
hilarious.
option, right? And if they're like, no, you absolutely need to call us, I will just be like, I don't know, how badly do I need this medicine?
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, well, put that one on my list too. No.
Okay, next question. What is something in your day that might be small that brings you a lot of joy?
Nature. The birds.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The birds, the deer, bunny rabbits. Because where we live, I've got several different bird feeders that my friend Lori Greco taught me to do. She's like, get this bird feeder for songbirds, this one for big birds. So we got the big birds in the back, the small birds in the front, the bird feeders, and we can see them out the window.
So you're going full bird right now. You're
yeah,
like
I'm like
it.
bird. Yeah, as long as they don't poop on my car, I'm fine. You know.
So funny. I read a
What
statement
about you? Yeah.
about birds real quick. I read a statement, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it was just like anecdotal, and it said the reason why bird sounds are so relaxing is because we subconsciously we know when there's no sounds that it kind of signals danger. But when there is sounds, birds are like happy and they're going, and so it's like an internal regulation kind of a thing. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I was like, that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
So
That's good. Yours, yeah.
My fun thing every day is I have coffee in the afternoon that I absolutely look forward to. And I've gone to making, I can't have sugar, so I've gone to making my own whipped cream with monk fruit, like with heavy cream and monk fruit. And I put like a big dollop on my coffee in the afternoon. And I can't even tell you the amount of joy.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Not the afternoon coffee, like, yes, the afternoon coffee. But it's the whipped cream on top of the afternoon coffee that's really
is the topping.
Yeah, that's the thing I really...
That's the icing on the cake, so to speak. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Love it. It's the small things, isn't it?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, just in the season I'm in too, is I've been learning that I have to value those small things, right? Because if I'm not valuing the small things and I'm continually waiting on the big things for my joy to come from, then you kind of just spiral into,
Yes. Yeah.
sadness and depression.
Absolutely.
And
those small things are important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you, getting right into it, can you share a little bit about your journey into becoming a coach and what drew you into this work?
Okay. Sure. I knew when I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't, when I grew up, but I didn't know how. And really, I didn't know how I would, but I knew how I wanted to help them. And the way I wanted to help was really with the inner turmoil, and helping themselves feel better on the inside. And that's because of how I felt on the inside growing up, because I grew up in a lot of chaos in my home. And so I graduated from high school, got a degree in psychology, and that was the route I was going to go, was become a counselor. Because if you want to help people, that's the logical way to do it.
Right.
And then I got married and had a family, and it ended up, providing for the family, and didn't really get to go get my master's. And so, fast forward to getting sober in 2005, it totally changed my career. And that's when I got into like the recovery field and working for treatment centers and seeing how people were helped with recovery with respect to mental health issues and also addiction. And I was like, this is it. This is my purpose in life, is helping people that are almost dead, almost dying, killing themselves, to help them, those that want to come back from that. And so I hired a coach to help me with my career and to navigate my career. And what I got out of that was so much more than just career. It was learning that, hey, you don't have to do the same things over and over that you've always done. You can do something different. And that was when I decided I want to be a coach to help people, because I changed so many things about my own life, the way I related to people, the way I especially related to my family, and I wanted to help others.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that would be almost over 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, 21 years sober next week.
Oh,
Next month, next Sunday. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, my history of coaching is rather vague, but is it a field that's been around for a very long time, or?
Well, I guess it's fairly new. It started in the 70s.
Okay.
And gradually became a respected profession. And really, one reason it wasn't a respected profession in the beginning is because it's not a licensing profession. So you don't get a license in coaching, you get a certification. So what the coaching world has done is created an organization and a professional association to say, we're going to regulate ourselves. And we're going to have ethics and we're going to have guidelines, and this is what professional coaching is. So there is a true legitimate profession today in coaching.
Yeah.
And there are different ways to get trained in everything. And so the real key is that we believe the coaching philosophy is we believe that you're whole and complete. And what we want to help you with is find creative ways to maximize your potential, to really inspire you to maximize your potential.
Right, and that can be in so many different fields, right?
Any specialty, any way, any kind of goal that a client has. And so rather than focusing on what's wrong with me, we're focusing on what's right with me and what's strong about me, and then applying my strengths to my life, and that helps me with the things that I'm struggling with as well to improve those. So that's really
that's a
the
good
premise.
Clarification.
Yeah,
and that fits your personality so well.
Thank
just
you.
the positive and the moving forward with the good and
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it is very biblical too.
Yeah.
Choosing to see yourself as the Father sees us.
Yes.
Choosing to walk in our
Yes.
redeemed identity and choosing to walk as a beloved son or daughter of God. Like that is a very much Christian kingdom mindset.
Very much so.
Yeah. So how would you say, because this is something that can kind of feel a little bit foggy, is the real difference between coaching and therapy? Like how would that distinction be made?
The easiest distinction there is that a therapist has a treatment plan for a client, and it's based on a diagnosis. So the difference with a coach and a client is the coach has the plan, or the client has the agenda. They come with like a goal or an agenda that they want to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And the coach helps guide them to that goal. And so it's based on what the client wants to accomplish. And then together they partner on that plan. Whereas if it's a therapist, say I go in for depression, which I have been in treatment for depression and anxiety for many years. Well, there's a known treatment plan for that. So my therapist and my psychiatrist would then work with me on that treatment plan. And so that's really the main difference, is that the client doesn't typically, at least on paper, the client doesn't have a say in the treatment plan.
Right.
Now,
they more come in or like fix me kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, there are gray areas there. So it's not black and white. There are a lot of therapists and psychiatrists that do coaching they use coaching, they apply coaching theory to their practice. So, and I experienced that myself. My therapist and my psychiatrist, they were very coachy to me, and that was really helpful because I was probably at a point where I was functioning enough to do that. And another way, like if somebody's wondering, do I need a therapist or do I need a coach? It really, the thing is, the way I see it is if a person knows what they want and they can see themselves getting there, they probably need a coach. If they're not sure, if it's still really fuzzy and messy because there's a lot in the past that needs to be cleared up, or maybe there's a diagnosis that needs to be, or an assessment that they need to be seen for, then therapy may be it. And that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, that is a good way. And so that makes a lot of sense in just thinking about addiction and recovery as to why coaching would be so beneficial, because when you're coming out of addiction, you know your goal is recovery, and you know your goal is very specific. So a coach would be able to help identify, well, these are the moves you need to make to walk in that, to walk in recovery and walk in health.
Absolutely. Like if a person is willing to go to any length in their recovery to stay sober or to stay on their path, their recovery path, depending on what the addiction is, then coaching would work great.
Okay. Yeah. So with your experience, what do you see specifically in Christianity as some of the biggest misconceptions about addiction and recovery, and how that can really give us an improper mindset towards people working through addiction?
Okay. Yeah. I love that question because I was raised a preacher's kid, so I was raised in church. So I have a lot of experience.
Right, just that culture,
a lot of personal experience in that. And then, I remember when I was having trouble with alcohol, that the advice I got was, apply my faith and trust God and pray and stop. And so I think there is a misconception overall in our culture, and definitely with churches or within Christianity as well, is the focus is on stopping. We just got to get them to stop.
Right.
And that is important. We have to stop, if we want to live. It's just that stopping is only part of it. And the real story is all about, how do we stay stopped? What are we going to, we talk about this a lot you guys talk about it in Cultivate, and we talk about it in the Freedom Ministry, is how are we going to walk out our faith and apply our faith to an issue or a challenge. So that's one of the things I see. And I think the other is, I remember my parents even saying this, you just got to have faith. Well, I did. And I prayed a lot for God to help me stop drinking. And he answered that by me getting arrested a couple times. And that second time, that was the answer to prayer, where it was my lowest of lows. And I was like, God help me. And he did. And so God will answer those prayers in different ways. And I think it's important for all of us that are sober or have been restored to sanity, or we maybe never had a problem with addiction, to remember that God works how he works, when he works, and someone's bottom is their bottom. And we don't know how that's going to look. And so, that misconception is we can just get them to stop, they'll be okay. No. They got to walk out their faith now. They got to have practical steps for walking out their faith. So just to say, oh, good, Joey stopped. Well, how's Joey going to stay stopped? Now what does Joey do? What does he replace that with?
Well, one of my friends, she's actually a therapist, and she always says, we always ask why addiction, but we need to ask why pain.
Yes.
And,
absolutely.
So if our goal is just to get someone to stop a behavior, we're not actually addressing why they went to that behavior.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it is, it is part of the story. It's not the whole story.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? And
that's part of it.
And it's painful and it's hard, because by the time you get to the point where the behavior needs to stop, there's already a lot of carnage from the behavior, right?
Yes.
So it feels like, well, this is so overwhelming just to deal with the carnage here.
Yes.
How do we even go back before to figure out why the behavior started?
It feels impossible.
It does.
It truly does.
Yeah.
I remember a friend calling me one time and saying, I don't know why I can't stop drinking. And I was like, it just hit me, because I was newly sober at the time. And it hit me. I was like, well, because you're an alcoholic. That's why you can't quit. The question is, why do you start? Okay. That's really the question, is, why do I need to start? What is missing? where's my pain, as you say, and where's my faith? And there's a lot of times a disconnect on how to walk out our faith really in the depths of pain that is not going to go away. And when I say pain, I don't mean just physical pain, but could be emotional, mental pain, relationship pain. And I don't have any solutions for it. I don't know what to do. And I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
And that's my trigger for drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to stop this pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan and I are actually just talking because we saw this reel where this guy was talking about how the motivation for stopping whatever your addiction is can't be the amount of pain that you cause people around you, because then what you're doing is you're just avoiding pain again, which is the whole reason you started your addiction, was to avoid
Good
pain.
point. Yes.
And I got to thinking about that because that's been one of my struggles in walking through this relapse with Nathan, is you saw what this cost us in 2009. And so now here we are again.
Yeah.
How was that not painful enough?
Yeah,
You always said it was so painful.
right?
And it was painful. Is it too much time? Did it feel better? But the thing is, it can't be about it can't be about this is enough to stop the pain. I got to be willing to embrace the pain, to move through it, and not have the pain dictate my choices, right? Because in any of our lives, when we're allowing pain to dictate what we're doing, then we can choose paths that are very like they're bad paths, basically.
And we've
right
all
when we're
done
letting
it.
pain choice, whether it's running away, whether it's eating too much, whether it's exercising too much. I mean, two sides to that coin, right? Like when we're letting pain dictate our behavior, then we can choose paths that are really
very
negative,
true.
right?
We all do it.
Yeah.
People even that have never had an addiction issue, we all do that too. We all try to avoid pain.
Oh, for sure. Why?
Yeah.
Why do we want pain?
I mean, hello.
And I think especially going back to what you said before, like when you are in pain and the world feels so big and you feel so alone, and, I think the enemy gets chatting in your ear and says, well, this will make you feel better. And even if well, this is just temporary, it's like anything right now. I just need to do anything. I mean, a binge of a show, on a streaming network can be that relief. And I think sometimes we have good ways that we break up that, like going for a walk or even, a show or a novel or right. But when it's like, that's our go-to instead of moving forward into our identity in Christ and knowing asking him how we overcome that pain, doing that hard work, then that thing that we go to becomes our security, becomes our place of safety. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is...
Man. That's good. That'll preach right there, I'm telling you.
It's hard, though. I think the hard thing about addiction, specifically substances or sexual addiction, is because if I get lost in a novel, and I've been known to, not just one, maybe 14, right? Yeah. And refuse to come
Hopefully
back.
not all at once, though.
Oh gosh, I had a Christmas break when my kids were little, and Nathan had some time off, and I read 14 books.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just done. And Nathan goes, I can read really, really fast too.
Wow, I was going to say, you got to be a speed reader.
I can. But also I was like, I love dystopian kind of end of the world fiction. It's my favorite. Yeah. Because it's so out of the realm I'm living in, right? It's just different. Yeah. And I liked young adult because it didn't have all the it was a little cleaner. Young adult now is not as clean, but you could at that time buy it. But anyway, I read all these books. And finally Nathan just came over to me and he gave me a little hug and he's like, you gotta come home.
Come back.
You gotta come back to us. Because I was taking a mental vacation, really. And he knew, I think she needs this and this is fine. And it's okay, now it's time to come home. Like, you gotta come back, right?
Yeah, I was thinking for me, Downton Abbey and Gilded Age.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I love Downton Abbey.
My husband will come in to talk to me and I'll like, go away,
Right.
get out of here. I mean, I'm like watching
I am
Downton
enveloped.
Abbey.
I am in this world.
No, I can't hear you.
Yep.
So he's like, he knows not to come near me.
When you're having your transport in time.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's a question I'm wanting us to get into a little bit is how do you define addiction from both a psychological and a spiritual perspective? And we're kind of hitting on that, but I'm more talking about the kind of addictions where people are like, stop the behavior. Like,
stop.
Just stop. Right.
Okay, here's where I'm going to go to my notes.
Okay.
Because I think this is so important. And I'll tell you why. Because, I mean, I'm sober and I still don't fully understand it. Because addiction isn't like a logical thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's an absence of sanity for one thing. So now that I'm sober, it's hard for me to understand the things that I did. And so for people that haven't experienced addiction, it's really hard to understand, I imagine, because they've not experienced it. And it's even hard for me having experienced it. So I will say that it's kind of complicated. And even ASAM, the American Society of Addiction Medicine, they've revised their definition over the last few years. So as they learn more and more, especially about the brain, in science, this is kind of an evolving definition. And so the psychological, I'll just kind of, give you a short version of the psychological definition and I put this together myself just kind of as a culmination. Addiction is a complex mind and body condition. It involves real changes in the brain. And that's something we tend to forget, especially in the areas responsible for reward, decision-making, and memory. That's why addiction often includes symptoms like craving, loss of control, tolerance, withdrawal, and continuing the behavior even when there are serious consequences. So from a psychological standpoint, a lot of people will say, in regular street language, it's when somebody keeps doing the same things over and over, the same behavior that's destructive, and it just gets worse and worse, and they just keep doing it. And that's true.
Right.
That's how it looks. The reason they're doing that is, in my words, the mind and the brain are colluding with each other and destroying the person. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. The brain is saying, I've got to have more of that dopamine because it felt so good. Yeah. And that dopamine doesn't come just from substance. It comes from behaviors as well.
Right.
Pleasure, like you're talking about. Like I could get addicted to the birds.
Right.
And my whole life could pass me by because I'm watching the birds because it feels so good to me.
Right.
You could just sit all day and drink with your whipped cream and your monk fruit or something, and waste away.
Reading my books.
Reading
about
your
the end of the world.
books.
Yeah.
And about the end of the world. So, and you get reward from that. And so that's kind of how I describe it from a psychological perspective.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think, going back to what we were talking about with the Christian community and the perspective on addiction, because so many times we see and we hear people's testimonies, right? Mm-hmm. And their testimony is, I was lost to addiction. Mm-hmm. Specifically, it's usually a substance addiction. I was lost to a substance addiction. The Lord found me. Mm-hmm. He saved me. Mm-hmm. I've never had a desire to drink a drop of alcohol again. That's the most classic one, right?
Yes.
Which is beautiful and amazing and incredible. But I've talked with a lot of people, and that has not been their story, right? Mm-hmm. Their story is more, the Lord found me. I thought about it. Mm-hmm. My family prayed for me a long time. Mm-hmm. I got saved. Mm-hmm. I relapsed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A few years later, I decided to try again. Mm-hmm. I did well for a while. Yeah. Bottom fell out. Uh-huh. had to really learn how to get some more structure in my life, right? It's more of a longer process, and it's a little bit more messy than we really, I think than what we want to be comfortable with, because I know for myself, I do believe that the freedom that we get through Christ is real. Right? But I think it goes back to us deciding that we want that freedom, and we want to keep, like you're saying, that faith to move forward in that room, that road. And as Paul says, don't go back to slavery, right? Like, but we can choose to go back to these things that enslave us. And it is a hard thing, because people that don't deal with substance addiction or sexual addiction, it's like, well, that just seems like you can look back and go, that was really bad.
I mean, obviously that didn't work for you.
That didn't work, and it wasn't good, and you destroyed your life. So why would I go back to that, right?
Yeah.
And it's very heavy in judgment there. And I think also I do believe that our identity isn't, I know in AA specifically, it's the, being able to say, well, I am an alcoholic, right? And being able to balance that with, this is the temptation I specifically struggle with, that I am, I can easily be enslaved to, versus this is my identity. This is all I am.
Yeah.
Right? It's that balance.
Yeah, it's a balance. Like today, sounds crazy. I'm proud to be an alcoholic because I'm proud of God saving me from it. I'm so thankful that happened to me. I was thinking about it on the way here this morning. If life had gone my way, so if my first marriage had gone my way, I would have thought it was all about me, that I did that, and when it all fell apart, of course, I thought that was about me too. I blamed myself, blamed God, blamed my ex-husband. But when life did not go my way, that's when I started drinking, because I had no skills for that. Because it was supposed to be, you do this, Jenny, you walk the narrow path, blah, 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 and everything will be okay. No, everything isn't okay. I forgot the part about you're going to have struggles in life, and I did. I had some big struggles in life. And so, and I thought when I started drinking, I was mature enough to handle it, because I didn't really start drinking until my 30s. And alcohol just wasn't a part of my life before, except a few times when I had overserved myself and learned my lesson. And so that started at 15, drank too much, got sick, never do that again.
You were like, meh.
Okay, no. 25, drank too much, got sick, never doing that again. 35, I'm mature enough now, I started drinking, and even if I got sick, didn't stop me. Okay, because I was in so much pain at the time and didn't know how to handle those emotions.
So this is a deeply personal question. It's not on your list, so you don't have to answer it.
We're off script.
We're off script. When you chose to get sober and to embrace your pain rather than trying to mute it, what did that look like for you?
Well, I had to be in enough pain to know, let's see, how would I put this? Had to be in enough pain to know that I could not continue, that either I was going to kill myself or I was going to die. And for me, that was the end of the road. You would think the end of the road would be, I'm hurting my daughter and I'm hurting my husband. But no, it was me being at the end of myself, really. I had no solutions. Every part of my life was a mess. And it was that foxhole prayer, God help me. I was sitting in a jail. And I thought, here I am, a preacher's kid. I know God. I have a relationship with Christ. I know I've let him down, and I was ashamed, and I didn't want to face him. And so I was running from him. And, now I'm in jail and, I can't really run. Okay. And so I got to face myself. And my husband said, I'm done. You may go down, but you're not taking me with you. And I remember thinking, and this is crazy. I thought, well, I don't want to go down alone. I mean, I knew I was going down. And I thought, I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. And that's when God sent a messenger to me. And that was my husband's best friend. And he said, Jenni, I'm going to tell you something. Your husband is the most loyal person I know, but he's very angry right now, and rightly so. And he said, you're a good person, but you've got a problem. And you need to get some help. And if you get help and you tell your husband, you write him a contract, tell him what you're going to do, write it down on paper, and stick to that, you can save this marriage. And that was what I needed to hear in that moment. And so for anyone out there listening, if you're struggling with an addiction, if you know somebody that is, this is what I would say is, just call on God and ask for help. Start there. And he will bring people to you that can help you.
Right.
He will.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So in looking at, specifically the situation that Nathan and I are in right now, what is your perspective in being a recovery coach as to why somebody would relapse after such a long period of freedom? What would be the motivating factors in that?
Well, I can speak for me. When I think I've got it is a dangerous place for me to be. So in other words, I think, oh, I got this, because I don't got it. And what I mean by that is, growing up a preacher's kid, I learned a lot about scripture. And I remember thinking maybe in my 30s, I've been taught the scriptures all my life. I mean, don't I know this by now? I pretty much know it. I probably don't need to study it a whole lot. Well, the word is alive. It's living. And there's so much that I don't know. There's so much to learn that nowadays I'm really a sponge in that. And you and Nathan have been a big inspiration for me in that. And in how you teach and how smart you both are. and something I admire about you guys is your teaching. And so you guys have these amazing strengths that God uses, and Satan will also poke at those. And he's going to get us in our most vulnerable places and also our strongest spots in our lives. And so now I forgot the question you asked.
No,
I think it was
where it's specifically why would a relapse happen? And
Yeah.
you did
Okay.
answer it well in saying that when I think to myself, I have this is not a problem anymore.
I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that is, it's a really good question for each of us to ask ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like, what is the area where we know is a snare for us? It's a, the Bible calls it a snare or a stumbling block. What are those areas in our past that have been detrimental to us that we think now, well, it's not a big deal. I'm free.
Yeah.
Which it's true. We are free. But it could easily be something that if we start treating casually could come up and hook us again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That happened to me when we moved here. And that was 4 years ago. And even my sponsor, my AA sponsor said, well, Jenni, maybe you're good. I mean, maybe maybe this is a season for you. You don't need your meetings, your AA meetings, and, church may be enough. And so I thought, well, maybe it is. And I lost my serenity. I didn't lose my sobriety, but I lost my serenity for a period of time. And I came close to drinking. And not that I wanted to, but I was so spiritually, how would I describe it? I was so wrapped up in my emotions and some struggles that I was having that were really challenging for me when we moved here, because I had expectations, and that's usually where we go. I thought, oh, we're going to retire and move. It's going to be wonderful and easy, blah, blah, blah. And it was not. It was extremely challenging in our marriage. And I really was thrown off and didn't know what to do. And my husband comes home with a Topo Chico, which is like a sparkling drink, right?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, Topo Chico, like, it's August. He goes, oh, have his Topo Chico. It's a new kind. I drank it. I drank a sip, and I'm like, what is this? And does this have alcohol in it? He goes, no. And I took another sip, and then I looked at it, and it did. It had alcohol in it, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't even know. So here I am. I didn't even want to drink, but I was so angry about something at the time. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I drank something with a little bit of alcohol in it. Now, my sponsor said I didn't have to reestablish my sobriety date. So. She's like, did you want to drink? And I'm like, no, if I wanted to drink, it would have been yesterday. I was so mad yesterday.
Like, this would not have been the time. I was feeling decent.
Yesterday, not today. So, but that is a great example of, I had no intention of drinking and going back to alcohol, but I wasn't in a good place spiritually. And so
I like that how you said you didn't lose your sobriety, but you lost your serenity.
Yes.
And I think just talking about that a little bit more, because I think that's an important distinction, right? Like on the road back to relapse, just the signs of knowing, hey, I'm headed the wrong way right now.
I'm not okay right now.
I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And recognizing that the moment that you are in danger is not the moment you find yourself drinking.
Yes.
It's that what you're talking about, that upheaval and that feeling of being, what is it? Being in pain again, right? Like those are, and you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like all these indicators we've been talking about that can bring us back to that place of saying, well, yeah, that sounds like a good idea again.
Okay, let's talk about that a minute, because, you asked what is addiction? You asked the definition. So that's the problem. And the problem is, as we talked about, the brain and the mind. Well, the solution is spiritual, because the brain and the mind, if they're the problem, they can't fix themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we need a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. And that's God for me.
Right.
And for you, I know.
Yeah.
And so, it's an interesting formula, because you've got a mind and body problem. The thing is, you can't just solve the mind and the body. It's got to be the spirit as well.
Yes.
Because that's the power greater, and that's what sustains us through those hard times. So when we hit crises in our lives, in our sober life or our recovery life, when we hit those crises and we don't know what to do, and they're not easily solvable, and we don't have any answers, that is when we, having built that spiritual program all along, and when I say spiritual program, it's, as for Christians, it's our faith walk. It's faith with works is what it is, faith in action. So when we're doing that, then when those times come, we've got something to stand on. And we don't think about, because I wasn't thinking about going back to alcohol, okay? But I also didn't, I was a little bit shaky on my on my walk. And so I was a little bit lackadaisical, and it was a big wake-up call for me. And that was just a few years ago. And so I got back into my meetings and back into my gratitude, because whenever I go to a meeting, It's always about gratitude, always.
In what way? Just reminding you about what the Lord has done, or what is that? How does
Yes.
that bring gratitude to you?
We remind each other in the meetings by sharing about the truth of what we're taught. And, when I say truth of what we're taught, it's like the 12 steps, basically, which are based in the book of James. A lot of people don't know that, and I didn't even know that until lately. So we remind ourselves of truth. We hear stories of gratitude. We see people that are new in sobriety, and then we see people that are old in sobriety. And one thing I'll never forget, when I first started my walk in recovery, I remember thinking to myself, I've never heard of anybody getting sober and then going back out and drinking, and their life got so much better.
Right.
So I think I'll just stay on this path.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, good plan. And I've seen a lot of people die from this disease, and I've seen a lot of people live. And I've heard, I've seen some horrible, tragic stories from addiction, and I mean, people I've known. And then I've seen some amazing stories of recovery and redemption from people I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our Freedom Booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode.
What you were saying with moving back to a place of peace, moving back to a place of serenity, I really love that involves community, right? It involves other people. And just how the opposite of that is secrecy and hiding. And how shame and secrecy are such a propellant of long-term addiction, and just that lifestyle of defeat, right? In those areas is, man, I can't tell anybody, I can't bring anybody in, I have to carry this, I have to, this is
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, right? And yet, you're saying, no, it's when I bring it to people, when I bring it in the light, all of a sudden I feel like I can do this. I have hope. I have, the ability to move forward. And I think it's important because community is really structured in things like AA or, different recovery programs, 12-step programs. And that's essential, right? To have community. And so I think especially when you're sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do next. And you have this is the next step. Yeah. This is the group you meet with, right? It's very helpful. Yes. Right. But I think in any part of our life where we feel like, man, I am out of control right now. I don't know what to do. Being able to share and bring things to the light and find a community, find people to be open and honest with. That is the path forward. And the enemy will keep lying to us and saying, no, keep it to yourself. People are going to judge you, or they're not going to have answers, or you're just going to be ostracized, right? And it's actually the opposite. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is some legit fear there.
Oh, for sure.
Because there are people that will judge us. Okay. And that is a message I think it's important for us to get out as well, is for those that, for all of us, okay, let's keep it in mind that we've all had things in our lives that we wished we could control that we couldn't, whether it was an addiction or a person, a relationship. We've all had that. And so there, but for the grace of God go I keep, trying to remember when I see somebody struggling and I don't understand it. And so that's one thing I would say is be careful about judging others with any kind of addiction or struggle, because we all struggle with something, with stuff. And the other thing is the secrecy. The fear and the secrecy, that's natural. It really is. And there are people that will judge us. That's why it's important to find somebody that's walked the path, because then we'll feel comfortable, we'll feel safe, we'll feel understood. And if they have something we want, all we have to do is do what they did to get it. That part's simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings me to just a thought of how do you recommend people find safe community? What does that, that step really look like? Because yes, community, yes, openness, yes, bringing things into the light, but how do you do it in such a way where you do feel safe and you do feel like you can be encouraged in it?
One thing I would say is don't sit there and go, well, I wish there was, I don't know what to do, and I wish there was some help I could get. There's help out there. There are groups everywhere. There are recovery groups. There are I've looked this up before, and it's probably 300 or more iterations of the 12 steps applying to different problems. So there are recovery groups out there. They're Christian-based. There are non-Christian based, all kinds. And so you can find recovery if you want it, and it's there. So one way to do that is to Google whatever it is your struggle is. Just Google recovery groups for that. Okay.
Right.
Reach out to me. I'll help you, because I worked in the addiction field, and the field, the treatment centers I worked for treated behavior addictions as well as substance addictions. And so I'm happy to help as well.
Yeah. And I think also that element of, what you were talking about of the Lord coming in and overcoming, right? Because when everything came out with Nathan, and we were just like, okay, what do we do next? And we just started asking people like, hey, have you heard of a recovery group for this? Or what would you recommend? Or how would you, where would you, and we just started throwing feelers out everywhere, right?
Yeah, y'all were just on it.
But it was really cool the way that we just saw the Lord move supernaturally even in that, because for example, Nathan reached out to this wide group. It was a recovery program for sex addiction. And the person reached back out to him and said, well, I don't live that far from you.
Yeah. That was so cool.
Like, even just this connection where immediately we just felt the Lord's hand on this. And he, a few other areas where he's reaching out with counseling, and, the Lord highlighted, okay, this is something that is, that you haven't dealt with, that I want to walk with you through. And so I want you to go get a counselor. I want you to go get a therapist. And, so the Lord, led us to this person, and Nathan just actually is like, I love this guy. We've been referring to him as Dr. Richard Nygaard from Parks and Rec. I don't know if you're a Parks and Rec person, but
that's great.
Because he's always so excited on Mondays, which is his day. I get to go see Dr. Richard Nygaard. Okay,
that's how I feel about my sponsor. Yeah, she's great.
Right, and so I think knowing that, once you start putting yourself out there and saying, I'm going to go Google this.
Oh, yeah. You'll get rewarded. I'm going to fill the intake.
Yeah. I'm going to call the line. I'm going to talk to the person.
Yeah.
And just see the Lord start to come and meet those requests and make ways where you're like, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. And the Lord makes a way, right? It's been incredible. I might start crying.
Go ahead.
It's been incredible to see the way the Lord has met our need and our desire, and surrounded us with people to say, okay, this is what's next.
Yeah.
Okay, this God has more for you. You're not done, right? There's more that He has, and He is able. And being able to see Him do that through people, and see Him do that through just random intakes that we've put online as we've been looking for help has been really, really incredible. Right.
Wow.
So
thanks for sharing that. I've seen it with you, Nathan, this walk, and you've set I hate to say it this way, because I don't want to put pressure on you guys. You are setting an example of walking this walk, and it's not pretty. Okay. It's not pretty to step out on this walk. It's hard. It takes so much courage, so much faith, and you're doing it, and you're just taking, it's just what I learned in AA is just do the next right thing, Jenny. The outcome is not up to you anyway. It's up to God.
That's such a great
Just
line, is do the next right thing. Yeah.
I remember I would call my sponsor, and we had a blended family, and I was at work one day, and Mead and my daughter, his stepdaughter, Mead is my husband for those that don't know, they were arguing at home, and I'm like, I got to leave work. I got to go home. I got to go fix this. I call my sponsor. I'm driving home. She goes, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix this? And I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, do you think they're in danger? And I go, no. And she goes, well, then go back to work. So I turned around and went back to work. I mean, we just so much going on. We get,
Well, that's such a good reframing of what is in your control, right? Like what's in my control.
Right thing, Jenny, just go back to work,
Exactly.
So that's what I did.
Yeah. Which, I want to kind of move on to, let's see. I have so many questions. I sent Jenny all these questions, and we're probably not gonna be able to get through all of them, but
that's okay.
Basically looking at, with my role in this, and I know a lot of people that they love people that have addictions and have caused tremendous pain in their life. And I know I just keep saying to Nathan, I just want this to be done. Right? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back to the way it was, right? Like all of these different wishes, I guess, because that's what they are. Like, they're not reality. And I've also dealt with addiction with family members that, I love.
Yes.
And so it has been a big part of my life. Right.
Right. That's how my husband felt too.
Yeah.
Because his dad was an alcoholic, and then he marries one, So, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think my temptation in that is to just, I don't hold on to a lot of grudges. It's just not what I do. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect in that, but my tendency is to be just like, we're just going to forgive this.
Yes.
And we're going to move forward.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, no, there has to be accountability, and there has to be an awareness of what this cost me so that I can forgive this. Because if I don't allow myself to be aware of it, then I can't work through it. I can't process it. I can't resolve it. So it's like this picture, this picture of you're just getting into your body, you're gathering up all the offense. You're gathering up all the pieces of the offense, right? So you can gather them all, and then you can say, okay, Lord, I need you to take this. But if we just shove it down and say, I want to be done with this, all of that stuff is still there. Like it's not been gathered, or maybe a piece of it's been gathered.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not a full work.
Yeah.
And so, I know that's good.
Yeah.
Right. But what would you say would be your recommendation to somebody who's looking at, riding that line between grace and accountability as they move forward in their relationships with people that struggle?
I would say give grace to the person and accountability to the relationship.
That's good.
That's really the distinction. Yeah. The relationship has to have accountability. It does. Whether there's a relapse or not, every relationship has accountability.
Right.
So it has to in order to grow. And the grace is for the person. And that's there, but for the grace of God go I. And the grace is for yourself as well.
I like that. Let's see.
Let me say too on the accountability. because you and I've talked about this, is that the accountability is important in a relationship, and especially if you're married to the person that's on this recovery road. You're both on it. And so it's good for both of you to be accountable to each other for your own healing. And so it would be good for both partners to know what the other partner is doing, what their plan is, their recovery plan. Say, this is my plan. I'm going to go to meetings these days. I'm working with my sponsor this day, whatever, I'm meeting with my therapist, and I journal, and then I have my Bible study, blah, 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 and my prayer time. And we don't want to micromanage that. It's just it would be good to have a regular check-in time.
Right. And that also helps rebuild trust, right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
if let's say they're doing all the things and you don't know about it, then you're like, well, what are you even doing? Or they're not doing anything. Right. And you're just stuck. So there is that, that accountability, that desire to inform the other person. I think the line that I've been having to figure out, because my husband and I have always been best friends. Right. And we've always really ministered to one another. And this is a season where that has been, it's there, like we're still ministering to one another, but in different ways. And the distinct difference is that in his recovery, how he's getting ministry is involved. It's a lot more people right now. And they are speaking into areas where I kind of need some space. Personally, for my own,
good for
my own health, and I'm having people speak into my life, and even giving me perspective of, hey, Lacey, are you willing to look at this piece? And I'm like, no, I want to be happy, right? It's like, I don't want to look at this piece. I don't want to look at what this brought out. No, not at all. That sounds horrible. I know. So, and that's the benefit of having somebody else speak, is that you're able to get that outside perspective. So
I know it.
Okay, so I want to say, what steps would you recommend for spouses or family members of somebody struggling with relapse? What steps will help in rebuilding that trust? And we touched on a little bit, but just processing hurt, rebuilding trust, moving forward towards the goal of restoration. Like, what steps would be taken in that?
Oof, that's a good one. That's a good one. Trust is a big deal. I mean, it's necessary in relationships, all relationships, and it can be shattered. It's very fragile thing, and it can be shattered. So I definitely shattered the trust, my husband's trust in me, and that was hard. It was very, very hard. I'll never forget what my therapist said in treatment, and he said this in class, and we all disagreed with him, and he proved that he was right. But he said, you can make someone trust you. And we're like, no, you can't make anybody do anything. And he goes, yeah, you can. If you do what you say you're going to do, and you be where you say you're going to be, people trust you. And so we can even make ourselves trust ourselves by doing that. And so the one thing I would say with trust is don't rush it, okay? Because it takes time. And for the person that loves the person with the addiction issue that's relapsed, or they're that they're coming out of it and they're in recovery, is that it's not up to the recipient to decide. So for you, Lacey, it's not up to you to decide. And well, let me rephrase it. Okay, it's not up to you to rebuild the trust. Okay, you're the recipient. Okay, and then Nathan is rebuilding the trust by his actions. Okay, and so it's really when you see him doing his work and you see him taking those steps consistently, and you see behavior is different, attitude is different, mindset is different, there will be a time when you will trust him again. You just don't know when that's going to be.
Right.
Okay. And neither does he.
Right.
And he can't decide that. Only you can. And so you're the recipient. Let it be. Trust your gut. Trust God. And you'll know when you can. And that's okay. Don't struggle with it. Don't fight with trust. Just let it be what it is. And that's where you give grace to the person, and you have boundaries and guidelines for the relationship, and that's okay.
Yeah. And that takes off the pressure. That takes the pressure off the relationship,
It
right?
totally
Because
does.
I can feel what I'm feeling
Yes.
and work through what I need to work through at my
Yes.
own pace
Yeah.
without feeling like I need to have a expectation of,
Because I love him, I need to trust him.
I need to trust him by a certain point, or it's been this long. I need to automatically trust, because it's so funny how I found myself where I want to,
Yes.
but it's a visceral reaction I can't stop.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
And so
Absolutely.
I have to be honest about that. Because when I start to lie to myself and say, I don't feel that, then our relationship isn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't have transparency.
Yeah.
I've invited lies to it, basically.
Right.
And
that's not honest.
Right.
And that just, it won't fly. It won't work. So with Mead and me, it took me 3 years to rebuild that trust. And I remember my therapist saying, you don't get to decide when that is. That's up to him. And so I knew to keep my head down and just do the work. And one day he would. And if I hadn't gotten that advice, I would have been really mad at my husband. And why don't you trust me? I haven't drank in a whole year. I mean, do you know how hard that is? I mean,
so much work.
God, so much work.
No reward.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I did have that attitude because he quit drinking because of his health. And so he wears this bracelet and everything. And I go, but you don't get a chip for that. It wasn't even hard for you. I mean, this was hard for me.
You thought the bracelet annoyed you?
Yeah. It's so annoying. It wasn't even hard for you. So I'm like such a jerk. Yeah. That's so not funny. So yeah, that's what I would say about trust. It will come again. And really the person that is me, okay, the person with the problem, the issue, well, both people have the problem in a relationship when there's a relapse. But like for me, I had to trust myself too. And it was the same thing. I had to just do what I said I was going to do, be where I said I was going to be. And eventually I trusted myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the structure in your life came in, right? With your sponsor and your meetings and the program, right? Like those are also important of creating these pathways of success, honestly.
And that it's biblical. It's a day at a time.
Yeah.
Don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't borrow troubles from tomorrow. Stay in today. Stay where your feet are.
Yep. No, it's so good. Listen to the birds.
Yeah.
Enjoy the
Listen
day.
to the birds. I mean, the birds don't worry, do they? They seem like they are. They're singing all the time. So I don't know if they're worried or what, but yeah.
What is the most inspiring story of recovery that you've been able to personally engage with in your work and in your life?
As you guys go through this, every story will inspire you either way to stay alive for those that die from the diseases of addiction, but also the people that live. And I would say the one that is most inspiring to me is Victoria. And she passed in 2021. And that girl, she got HIV from blood transfusions when she was about 19 years old and lived with HIV. She died in her 50s, so she lived with it for many years. And she had a lot of discrimination. people thought she had a drug issue because she lost so much weight, or they thought she was gay, or, and that's how she got HIV. And so she died of full-blown AIDS, and she died 10 years sober when she died. So, I sponsored her, and we became just sisters in Christ. We became great friends, and she was I always thought, if she can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, anybody can do it, because she had every reason to destroy her life and kill herself. And she decided to get sober and live. And she lived 10 years.
Even knowing that she had...
Even though knowing she was dying.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it too, how the walk from being sponsored to sponsoring someone, and even in that process of sponsoring someone, how you were being ministered to.
I know,
it's beautiful.
That's a spiritual principle. It's God's math and multiplication, how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who feels hopeless or overwhelmed by a loved one's relapse? What would you, or even their addiction, like they're still lost in the addiction?
Well, it is overwhelming. That's a legit feeling, okay? All of our feelings are legit, and they're signs for us. So whenever we feel hopeless and overwhelmed, that's here's your sign to trust God.
Right.
And it's hard. I'm telling you, when I am overwhelmed or hopeless about a situation, trusting God is a mantra for me. I have to keep reminding myself, trust God. I trust you, God. I trust you, God. I trust you, God. And so that's number one, is to know that that's okay to feel that way. That's natural. And that's when we draw closer to God and reach out for help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always help.
Yeah. I think that's so good, just to realize, like, going back to what you were saying before with a day at a time, right? Because that is so important. Like, I only have to deal with this day. I only have to be in this day. I can listen to the birds. I can drink my coffee with whipped cream, right? I can find my joy in this day, even with really overwhelming circumstances, and have faith that this will not be my future. Like, the Lord does have a plan, even though I don't know beyond today what this will look like. And then very practically reach out. And I think people, oh gosh, it's really hard. It's hard for people to reach out.
It is hard.
Except for if you're my daughter. She just never met a stranger. But for us mere mortals.
Everyone knows.
For us mere mortals that have trouble with that. I think it does feel intimidating, because I know I struggle sometimes with, well, can this person handle the intensity of the situation, right? Will they give me platitudes? Will they... I once had someone say to me, and this was years ago, I just find it such a funny story. She was talking, she was monologuing about something, and she was telling me about some kind of illness she had. But then she goes, but at least I'm not a one-legged veteran. And then she kind of like self-soothed herself with that and then moved on. It was so funny. I really tried not to start laughing, because I was like, what? This is hilarious. Like, the way that you calm yourself down from your pain is comparing yourself to a one-legged veteran. Like, that in your mind is like the worst case scenario. Which is bad, right? But still, I'm like, poor one-legged veterans. Who do they compare themselves to, right? Like, so just this, like, this idea of, people that meet us with comparison of, well, I had it way worse than you, or or judgment, right? There's all these perspectives people can bring when you're opening up to them, because they don't know how to handle the information. And so how do people face that when inviting people in? How do they find safe people? Because you can't like Google, hey, safe person in my neighborhood. I mean, I guess you could, therapist.
I know.
Local therapist.
It's true. Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's a very good question. One thing is you can always kind of test the waters a little bit with people, and find little creative ways of testing the water. And the main thing is ask God to guide you to the right people, and He will.
Yep. I think that's so true.
I didn't even ask Him to help guide me to somebody who could guide me, but I asked God, help me. And He did. He brought me to the people that, all along the way, just like you're talking about, He brought me to a person that had never saved a marriage before and saved our marriage just by telling me I could.
Right.
And I just needed help,
Right.
And so then I went to the intensive outpatient treatment, and that's where the therapist said, you can rebuild trust. I'm like, no, I destroyed it. It's gone. And he's like, no, you can. You just do a little bit every day. Just do what you're supposed to, just take that do that next right thing.
Right.
Take that next right step. And so, what I would say is just kind of test the waters a little bit with people, and you'll know once you do that if they're safe or not, like how they respond to certain things.
If they're in a place to offer help for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in what I've learned is that, this is more in my medical journey, but specifically when we ask, hey, Lord, can you come in? Can you bring me to people? Can you bring me to resource?
Yeah.
Sometimes He will bring you somebody for just one part of it. Like you were saying, He brought the friend to speak into your marriage, right?
Yeah.
And then He brought the therapist to say, this is daily living. This is what the key, right? And so I think sometimes we can hang our hat on the idea of, I need one person that's kind of this silver bullet. They're going to hit all the areas I need. It's going to be
No,
perfect.
It's going to be community.
Right.
Yeah.
And it might be somebody you say, hey, can you pray with me?
Yeah.
And they pray over you. And just their prayer gives you the strength to move into the next part of, whatever it is. Right. So it's being able to recognize when the Lord does send someone, to recognize that and rejoice in that. I think that gives us a lot of confidence. Like, okay, I do have help. I do have resource. It might not be everything all at once. And that, honestly, because I'm always wanting to move things really fast, the Lord's like, no, I want this process to be full and complete. And so it might not be as fast as you want. So you might have to sit here in this, do the next right thing revelation for a little while.
Yeah.
Until I bring the next,
and just enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
It is an amazing journey. And I know there are people, I know all of us have felt hopeless at times or overwhelmed. Okay. And so that is legit and really a hard place to be. And I will say this too shall pass. If you walk the steps, just keep taking the next, do the next right thing, take the next right step. God is going to open up this amazing pathway for you that you have never imagined. Never imagined. That's what happened in my life. I thought, when I get sober, my life is over. It sucks. I know I just have to live this way the rest of my life because this is what I'm supposed to do. And no, that is not true. I have met the most amazing people in my journey back to God and back with my relationship with God and through recovery that I would have never met. And the most humble people I know are people in recovery because they're grateful.
Yeah.
Because they know where they've come from.
Yeah.
It's just like Paul, how grateful he was because he knew where he'd come from.
I always look at that with the woman with the perfume too at the feet of Jesus, just this pouring out of just, I need you.
Yeah. I need you. We all need him. I think those of us that struggle with addiction or we love someone with addiction, it's just more clear and more painful for us and more raw that we need him. We all need him just the same.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. How can listeners support friends and family that are dealing with addiction without moving past boundaries? Like, what does that really look like to offer help. I mean, even if they might not be ready to even admit they have a problem or they need to make a lifestyle change.
We had to do an intervention in our family at one point, and sometimes that's important to do. And it can be done professionally. It can be done paraprofessionally with family, not including an interventionist. There are ways to do that. And the main thing is the person that's struggling with the person with addiction has got to be clear on their boundaries and stand on their boundaries. And that's going to help. It's going to help if the person is ready or not. And if they're ready for recovery, then that's one path to take.
Right.
And then if they're not ready for recovery, there may be decisions to make at that time.
Yeah.
And so there's still hope in that, because we all have choices, and boundaries are super, super important. And you really can't have a relationship without them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
no matter whether...
Well, not a satisfying one.
Well, yeah. Okay, you can have a relationship.
Very dysfunctional.
It's called dysfunctional and toxic, okay? So, yeah, good point. You can, and we all have. That's true.
Well, I'm just running through. We've hit so many of these questions already in our talk. I think that you had said to me, we were having a conversation a few weeks ago about how your coaching is such a joy to you, and how you love to be able to just invest in people's lives and to see them, move into places of success. And I think that it is so beautiful how the Lord gave you that dream when you were a young child. And even though there was decisions you made that seemed to move you far away from that, that he brought you back.
Yeah.
Right? It's so beautiful, because nothing can stop the plans of the Lord.
Yeah.
Right? He is able, and he is able to take things that are, he's able to take ashes and bring such beauty out of them. And so I want to pray over our listeners and just any situations that they might be experiencing right now. And so let's just go ahead and do that.
I love that.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
All right. So, Father God, I thank you that you're a good dad, and that you love to redeem and restore. I thank you that you sent Jesus to take away sin and pain, hopelessness, that he carries everything. He carries all of our burdens, and that there's nothing that we can do to achieve or to earn your love that is given freely. And so I pray that no matter where people are on this scale, if they're lost in addiction, if they're working towards recovery, if they love somebody who is bound by addiction, Lord, I pray that each and every person may know that they are fully and completely loved, and that the only thing they have to do is receive your love. So, Father, I thank you for this talk with Jenni. I pray blessing over her business, over her ministry, and I ask that you would use this podcast in a way that brings glory to you and freedom to people. In Jesus' name, amen.